At the end of the last session, I asked you a question. What issues have you recently noticed in the life of your teenager? In this whole area of appearance and this whole area of performance. And how have you reacted? Some people react with shame. Others react with pride. Others react with frustration. Others react with gratification. How are you responding to what you're seeing? Remember, what you're seeing, so to speak, is the tip of the iceberg. The real issues lie underneath. Remember the topic for this session? Why people do what they do. Why teenagers do what they do. Now, I'd like you to pull out some paper and pencil and draw a big isosceles triangle. Now, I'm sure some of you are scratching your heads and thinking, what is that? An isosceles triangle, yes. You remember that math in high school? It wasn't for nothing. It was for a day like this. And then I want you to draw a waterline so that the tip of this triangle is above the waterline, just the tip of it, with most of it below the waterline. Now, I want you to draw two lines, two parallel lines from left to right, dividing this triangle into three. The lower part we'll call that A, the middle part we'll call it B, and the top part we'll call it C. And in our triangle, the C part, that is the portion that is above, a portion of it is above the waterline. Remember Proverbs 20 verse 5? The purpose in a man's heart is like deep water, but a man of understanding will draw it out. The parent's job is to help the teenager to come to an understanding of what is going on within them. It is not unusual for a parent to ask his teenager, why did you do that? And for the teenager to say, I don't know. And maybe they don't know. And perhaps it is up to us as parents to try to help them to know why they did what they did. Let's go to the bottom of our triangle, the one that we have labeled A. This is the largest part of our triangle. And we are going to label this part disappointment. Disappointment. Okay? Disappointment is hidden way below the waterline. This is the core of a teenager's emotional iceberg. Proverbs 20 and verse 6 in the Message translation says this: lots of people claim to be loyal and loving, but where on earth can you find one? Your teenagers going through a phase of life where they are connecting with their peers and their siblings and their parents, and they are looking for loving relationships. Remember, we talked about the search for identity, and they are looking for identity. They are looking for loving relationships. And guess what? They are not finding them. Proverbs 20 verse 6 is asked the question, where are they? Parents and teenagers are both looking for unfailing relationships, but they don't get them. And even the best parents cannot meet a teen's biggest needs. And what are the biggest needs? There are three of them. Number one is unfailing love. The second one is significance. And the third one is security. This is the fuel that fuels that teenager. Unfailing love, significance, and security. Parents need it. Teenagers need it. Remember, the parent is the fueler, the teenager is the drainer, and they are looking up to you to fuel their tank. So we are still talking about this portion of the triangle, of the iceberg called disappointment. Let's analyze what we mean by unfailing love. Proverbs 19:22 says, what a man desires is unfailing love. Both teenagers and their parents have an expectation for complete unfailing love. Now, what do I mean by that? Unfailing love is actually a situation where a teenager has done something wrong. They want to express to their parents and remain loved. Let's say, for example, you have bought a set of expensive glasses, a set of 6 expensive glasses, and your daughter is washing them for you. or perhaps it's your son, and one of them on that very first day drops and cracks and completely shatters, and you're not at home. Nobody saw it happen, but you've raised your children to be honest, and they scoop up all the pieces of glass. You come back from home, from wherever you had gone, you come back home, and they come right to you and said, "Mom, I have a confession to make." Say, "Okay, son, what happened?" "Mom, I broke one of the glasses when I was washing them." Now, depending on how you react to this situation will determine what else your teenager will ever tell you in future. Your teenager has come to you and told you the challenge they are facing. They have told you they broke a glass. They know you'll be disappointed, but they are hoping you will still love them by the way you respond to them. They have exposed, as it were, their nakedness to you, but they want you to still love them. Unfailing love. 1 Peter 4:8 says, "Above all else, love each other deeply, because love covers a multitude of sins." You know, and I should teach on that verse. I used to focus on that part that says, "Love each other deeply," but I've learned to focus on the second part, that love covers a multitude of sins. Friends, for sins to be covered, they must exist. Your teenagers coming to you, they're having a challenge, and they're telling you, "Mom, I messed up." "Dad, I've been suspended from school." "Son, what happened?" "I was suspended for smoking marijuana." "What?" How are you going to react to that? "Son, did you smoke marijuana?" "Dad, do you want to know the truth?" "The truth is I didn't really smoke it." "Son, what happened?" "Dad, it was sports day. There were many schools at my school. I was going to the bathroom and I found these two guys smoking. And I wanted to turn around and go back, but they grabbed me because they knew that if I went back, I could easily report them. Dad, they said you have to take a puff before you go." "Dad, I picked up that cigarette and was just pulling it to my mouth when the teacher walked in. So, Dad, the honest truth, I did not smoke marijuana, but I can't prove my case." Your child wants to confess that to you and still be loved. Or perhaps he did smoke marijuana. Perhaps he walked in, the teacher walked in there and your son had just pulled that cigarette and the teacher walked in as he was exhaling the smoke. All the evidence is there. But your son comes to you and says, "Dad, I really messed up. I was caught smoking marijuana." Now remember, parents, no amount of reaction can make your son unsmoke the marijuana. What the son is looking for is the ability to confess to you and remain loved as you work through the issues. Your son wants to be loved by you. He wants to experience unfailing love. Your son has messed up, but your son has nowhere else to turn. So they are coming to you to confess. Will you love them even as you work through the issues? They are looking for unfailing love, and when they don't get it, they become very disappointed. We are analyzing that part of the isosceles triangle, that part of the iceberg called disappointment. Unfailing love. They are looking for it, they are not getting it, they're extremely disappointed. Let's move on to the second part, and that is significance. Significance. We all want to feel that what we do is important to people. And parents are always criticizing what their children are doing. When you criticize what your child is doing, your child feels criticized. Lack of significance is a big reason why relationships struggle. And your son is looking for significance. Your daughter is looking for significance. They are looking for it in their relationships and primarily from you. When they don't receive it, they'll be very disappointed.